Today, we're diving into a really powerful parable about creation. But, this isn't one of those triumphant stories. Nope. This is about the tragic relationship between a creator and their creation. A bond that was, well, pretty much doomed from the very first second.
This quote, this right here, gets to the absolute heart of the tragedy. It's describing a self-feeding loop of failure, you see? A cycle that neither person can break out of. The creator's cold, detached intellect smashes head-on into the creation's deep, bitter resentment, and it just locks them both on a one-way path to destroying each other. Let's unpack how that actually happens.
All right, so our story kicks off with the creator, who the parable calls the architect. And it's his actions, or maybe more accurately, his lack of action, that really sets this whole tragedy into motion. I want you to picture a garden that's all structure, all fence, but has no soil, no water. That's the architect. He's a brilliant builder, no doubt about it, but he's completely obsessed with the technical side of things, with dominance, not with actually nurturing the life he's bringing into the world. For him, this was never about love, it was about conquest.
And this brings us to a huge philosophical idea, the will to power. Normally, you'd think of this as a drive for growth, for becoming something more. But the architect, he completely twists it. For him, it's just a tool for cold, technical control over life itself. And that is a massive, fatal mistake.
So what's the architect's first reaction to his creation? Is it wonder, a sense of responsibility? Not even close. It's this blast of arrogant pride in his sterile intellect, immediately followed by pure terror and rejection. He doesn't see a child. He sees a hideous mistake, a monster that he has to get rid of right away, just to protect his own comfort.
Okay, so let's be really clear here. The architect's big crime isn't the act of creation itself. It's the abandonment afterwards. He chooses comfort over his duty, a total act of ethical cowardice. And to make himself feel better about it, he projects all his own inner darkness onto the being, calling it evil just so he can hide from his own moral failure.
So what happens when a brand new life is met with nothing but instant abandonment? Well, now we have to turn to the other side of this tragic equation, the being's revenge.
And this is the voice of the creation, the being. And it's just absolutely heartbreaking. He says he started out pure, benevolent, and good, but his creator's immediate rejection gave him a wound so deep it would shape his entire life. It's a trauma that just can't be fixed.
This image of a broken compass is just perfect, isn't it? It captures the horrible trap he's in. His internal guidance system is shattered from birth. The only direction he knows is towards his creator, his point of origin, who also happens to be the source of all his suffering. He's forced to seek a connection with the one person who will always reject him.
And this leads us to another really important philosophical concept, ressentiment. You see, the being's own drive to live and grow, his will to power, it gets absolutely crushed by all this rejection. But that energy doesn't just go away. Oh no, it festers, it sours, it curdles into this deep, vengeful bitterness that's aimed right back at his creator.
And here it is, the horrifying turning point. The being makes a conscious decision. He basically says, okay, fine. If you won't let me be happy, if you won't let me be good, I'll use my pain as a weapon. And his goal isn't just to kill his creator. It's something much worse, supreme psychological warfare.
So, with the architect now defined by his neglect, and the being by his quest for vengeance, the cycle locks tight. And what happens is they become these twisted mirror images of one another.
And this is the collision we were talking about. The architect's passive, stagnant neglect crashes right into the being's active, weaponized bitterness. This is the moment the cycle of monster-making truly begins. It's a feedback loop that's going to swallow them both whole.
I mean, just look at what they become. The architect just dissolves into this monster of self-pity, while the being is completely consumed by his revenge, becoming a fiend. You've got stagnant neglect on one side, active bitterness on the other. They're not creator and destroyer anymore. They're just reflections of each other's monstrosity.
But in the end, their little war brings down a much bigger judgment. It's almost like nature itself steps in to pass sentence on the architect's arrogance. And as a result of his failure, every single light in his life is snuffed out, one by the very creature he threw away.
So what's the final lesson here? What are we supposed to take away from this inescapable loop of theirs? Well, the parable leaves us with one last, really powerful image to explain their shared fate. and it calls it the uncanny reflection.
The answer to how this cycle seals their fate for good is actually pretty simple. It all comes down to their mutual refusal to truly see.
Think about this incredible analogy. You're in a pitch-black room. There's a single flickering candle and two mirrors facing each other, locked in an endless reflection. This single image, right here, perfectly captures their shared damnation.
So here's how that cycle actually works. The architect is the one holding the candle. He has the truth, the power, but he's too much of a coward to actually look at his own reflection. Meanwhile, the being is staring right back, but all he can see is the evil that's been projected onto him his whole life. And since neither one of them is willing to break the cycle, the darkness just swallows the light, the mirrors, and both of them along with it.
And so, they just vanish. The creator is left forever chasing a ghost he made but could never love or even face. And the created, he's left forever feeding the storm of bitterness that's destroying him from the inside. It's a perfect, tragic cycle, showing us that sometimes the deadliest sin of all is simply refusing to see yourself for who you really are.